Okay, hi everyone. Look at the camera. So, this is the Mennyms, and we're on to, I believe, chapter 8. Glasses. So, I'm just trying out recording on my iPad, so let me know if there's any differences on this version. Chapter 8. Sir Magnus calls a meeting. Sir Magnus Mennym lay propped up on his pillows with his portable desk across his lap. The purple foot dangled nonchalantly from the counterpane. Its owner was still, but not sleeping. He had just finished composing a crossword puzzle for the Times and was pausing to contemplate. 7 across. Think, with a pattern to study first, maybe. Suddenly, he took the stout cane that stood at the left-hand side of his pillow and knocked quite vigorously on the floor. When no one came, he knocked again, but twice as hard. "What on earth is the matter?" cried Vinetta, dashing up the stairs and into the bedroom. "Send for them all," said her father-in-law impressively and ponderously. Vinetta was so startled that she forgot about the terrible knocking that threatened the ceilings below and just echoed Sir Magnus's last word. "All?" "All," he repeated. Then he reflected a little more. "All except Google's and, of course, Miss Quigley, unless she happens to be paying us a visit today." "No," said Vinetta. "She was just here on Tuesday. She said she'd be coming back some day next week." "Where's Tulip?" "I might as well not have a wife, for all I see of her." "She's in the breakfast room doing the bills. She's always busy, you know, Magnus, and she is the only one in the house who can manage the accounts. Subi could do it, but he won't." "Appleby could make little rings around all of you," said her grandfather defensively. "Let her loose on the accounts." "Let her loose on the accounts," interrupted Vinetta realistically, "and we'd have every teenage novelty on the market and nothing in the bank. I'll go and fetch Tulip. And Appleby, and Subi, and even the terrible twins. Tell my son he'd better come too, though goodness knows what he'll have to contribute. We'll all have to talk it out and make some sort of a decision." Vinetta did not answer any questions. She just hurried away and told all of the others to come to Grandpa's room. "What does he want this time?" grumbled Appleby. "I got the papers for him this morning, and I'm going to the post office for him this afternoon." "I don't know what he wants, but I'm guessing it will be something to do with the letter from Australia." "Oh, that," said Appleby, swinging her legs back and forward where she sat on the stool in front of her dressing-table mirror. She was trying hard to look as if she wasn't interested, but she couldn't quite manage it. After 40 years of increasingly awkward adolescence, she still had not achieved perfect boredom. Poopy and Wimpy were in the playroom. Poopy was engaged in making his action man slide down a rope into the jungle. Wimpy, ignoring him completely, was reading, probably for the 12th time, a very old copy of Where the Rainbow Ends. They were both pleased to be invited to a family conference. Usually they were considered to be too young for that kind of thing. When Tulip was summoned, she took her time putting everything neatly into its proper place. The file on her desk had compartments for every sort of account. The work basket she had inherited from Aunt Kate was full of different coloured wools, but not a single strand was out of place, not a single skein was tangled. I'll be there in a minute, she said, resenting all the minutes she was going to lose. And into her canvas bag she put the cardigan she was busy making. If they must have a family conference, then at the least she could do, at least she could do something useful while they all sat talking. If Magnus expected her to be the attentive and dignified Lady Mennym, then he had another think coming. Subi was even more awkward. "I'm not coming," he said flatly. "It will be another of his stupid pretends, and I'm fed up with them. What is it this time? Is he making a will to send to his solicitor?" "That's not fair," protested Vinetta. It's not all pretend. We are real, aren't we?" "I think," said Subi sarcastically, "therefore it's self-evident that I am. And at least I know what I am, which is more than the rest of you do. I am a blue rag doll that God knows how can think and move. I do not eat or drink. I do not know what being hungry or thirsty means. I do not mix with human beings. And I know that Miss Quigley lives in the hall cupboard." Vinetta looked very shocked. "That is really very cruel," she said, "and I thought you were kinder than that. We may be what you said we were, but we don't just think and move. We have feelings as well, and they can be hurt." Subi looked ashamed of himself. "I'm sorry," he said. "You're right, of course. There is no need for me to take it out on others because I feel sad. It is just that I find it hard to accept being a rag doll in a world that is obviously designed for human beings." "So we pretend to be human beings," coaxed Vinetta. "I know it's not perfect, but it helps. It has worked, more or less, for 40 years. It has its benefits too. We never get any older." She glanced at her own face in the mirror above the fireplace. A middle-aged face, but quite neat and pretty, framed by black wavy hair and lit up by freckled blue button eyes into which her personality had projected lively intelligence. A caring face with little worry lines around the mouth and a short frown between the eyebrows. It had looked exactly the same when she first observed it 40 years before. Subi looked at her lovingly. He knew she was a good mother. Fussy, maybe. Over-anxious, perhaps, but good. "I wish I could pretend," he tried to explain, "but I can't. I have to look at things as they are." Vinetta tried another tack. I don't think Grandpa wants us for another pretend anyway. I think he wants a conference about the letter from Australia. That was real enough, and it poses a real enough threat." "Very well," said Subi reluctantly. "I'll come." He got stiffly out of the loom chair that stood at the right-hand side of the bay window, facing outwards to the garden and the street behind. He usually sat there all day and every day. At night he did go to bed in his own room because rag dolls can sleep. He also sponged himself down in the mornings to keep the dust from gathering on his face and striped suit. Sometimes he would allow Vinetta to wash his clothes completely. At such times he would stay in bed till the clothes were washed, dried and aired. In his whole life he had only twice had new sets of clothing. Then he had insisted that they must be faithful copies of the originals, not for Subi the fashion fads of his sister Appleby. The blue face and the blue striped suit were himself. End of chapter 8.